Hey, what's good, LBK? You heard that little funky intro, so you know it's time to focus. This is the Focus LBK show. I'm your brother, Robert Jenkins, coming to you with this 104th episode. This is the final episode of season. What are we on? Are we on season 2? This is the final episode of season 2. Next episode y'all see, it'll be the beginning of season 3 of the podcast. That means year 3. 3 years doing this, 104 episodes in so far. It'll be 105 when we hit that third episode, that third season. I should say 105 episodes. This right here is episode 104, I should say. And man, you know how when you're ripping and running, you can't do the simple things that you need to do. This is me right here. I'm trying to get some guests on. I do have a guest coming up, and he's a prominent, world-renowned artist, an artiste. And if you want to go see his work, his name is Mr. Randy Groden. If you want to go see his work, it's right now down at Caville's at the Caville Museum and Art Gallery. And he's got some really fine, impressionistic work, a lot of nudes, tasteful nudes, not no pornographic nudes. People say, what is pornography? You know it when you see it. When you see his work, you realize immediately, no, this is art. It's nothing like that. It's the appreciation of the human form. The gentleman has traveled all over the world. I had a chance to speak with Mr. Groden this past Saturday. It was this past Friday, First Friday Art Trail down at Caville's, at Cabell's, as everybody say. I'm being too literal. I'm reading the word and people just say Cavell's. So I'm trying to train myself to say Cavell's. But anyway, I spoke with Mr. Groden, man, at length. And you talk about an interesting cat, man. He was cool. He one of them dudes. He's so cool. You be mad at him a little bit. Like, man, he come up here with a smooth beard. He got the tousled white hair, wearing the nice little tan sport coat, looking casual with a white shirt and some light jeans. And I say, man, that's the way I need to start dressing. I'm a man of my age. I'm so hot natured though. I can't really dress right. That's why y'all see me in these fishing shirts and t-shirts with my chain showing, my silver chain. You know what I'm saying? Cause I just can't, I want to dress like Mr. Groden and be dope like that and effortlessly cool like Mr. Groden. But, it's difficult to do because I sweat a lot. And that's just the way TI is, as my grandma used to say. That's just the way it is. But yeah, we had a great time talking to Mr. Groden down there. We must have talked to him about an hour. And we took some photos of his pictures. I don't want to show his pictures off too much because I want you to go see him, because you really need to see him in person to get the full experience, because he's an impressionist and his paintings are ultra realistic and yet somehow surrealistic in certain ways. You know what I'm saying? Some of them are like, whoa, that reminds me of something. It's reaching deep into the recesses of memory in some way when I look at some of his work. Some of it, he's got a lot of roosters. He does nudes, but he also does abstracts and roosters and animals. He did a couple animals in there. He had one as a donkey. That's a cool looking picture. I'm trying to get one of these roosters for the kitchen area of the crib. Once I buy it, I've got to make my wife, persuade her lovely wife in some way to put these pictures up. It's going to be hard, but she don't want nothing up in her freaking living room. She does not want art in there. And I say, babe, but you married an artist. I'm an artist. I make photos. I make great photos. And I can't put none up in here. She like, I love you, but no. Well, anyway, if I spend the money required to get one of these dope Randy Groden roosters, best believe that rooster going up in the kitchen. Now, I might be sleeping on the couch for a while, but nah, we just messing around. I ain't gonna force the issue, man, because my little lovely wife she's small but mighty. You know what I'm saying? I don't mess with her too much. Boy, you done got hurt. Yeah, man. It's a lot of things going on, a little bit of everything and nothing. I feel like we in those days where it's like we starting to see repetitions of things that are just tragic in some ways, that are comical in some ways. One of the interesting things locally that is going on is that the District 2 councilman, Mr. Gordon Harris, is apparently facing a pretty serious recall effort. I was looking on Facebook, and it seems to be headed up by the Lubbock NAACP, who just seem to be summarily dissatisfied with what Mr. Harris's efforts. And, you know, I look at it and I take note of some things. I remember when he was first running, before he even ran, Mr. Harris even ran. I remember we were still living in D.C. area, up in Northern Virginia, actually. Nova, they call it. Not NOLA, but Nova. No-vi, no-go. That's what I would say. Don't go to Northern Virginia. It's a no-guy, a no-go, a no-vi. But anyway, we were up there and we saw the elections down here that were taking place. That was in 2022. And we were noticing that's when Mayor Payne was running and some other council members. And I remember the first thing I remember thinking when I saw that they were running, I looked at the numbers and like I think the mayor won with 15,000 votes. I'm going from memory, so don't skewer me if I'm a little bit off on the numbers. But I think Mayor Payne won with like 15,000 votes. I think the District 2 council person, that was still Sheila Patterson Harris at the time, so she wasn't running. But the other councilmen had, a few thousand votes. And this time around, this last election where they selected Councilman Harris for District 2, I'm going from memory, man, but I could have sworn he had like 1,500 votes or something like that. 800 votes, 900. It was a very low number of votes. And I remember thinking, first of all, when people don't show up to vote, to me, that means they must be pretty happy with things. If people are dissatisfied and disgruntled and ready to fight, you best believe they're going to show up to the polls. However, they don't seem to show up to the polls, especially in District 2. They had some of the lowest numbers I've ever seen in people that voted. And like I said, don't quote me on that number, but it was low. I want to say it was like 1,500 or 1,800 or something like that. 1,800 votes out of, well, first of all, there's a city, a metro area of 300,000 almost. I don't know how many people actually live in East Lubbock. But here's one of the interesting things I do know about East Lubbock. According to the city's own stats and according to the U.S. Census as well, I think the last time I looked at it, East Lubbock is 51% Hispanic. And I've heard some of the community members on the east side say things like, if we lose the black candidate over here, if we get a Hispanic candidate over here, that's it. We'll never have another black candidate. And demographics do seem to be destiny. There's an old saying, who's that, Rush Limbaugh or Breitbart or somebody, demographics is destiny. Well, that seems to be the case. And I tend to agree. If we lose the black candidate in District 2, we are going to probably have a difficult time reclaiming it, I would imagine. Now, here's the interesting thing, though. If Hispanics are now in the official majority of District 2, that's East Lubbock, who says the candidate has to be black? Here's another interesting observation. Adam Hernandez, Lubbock Compact, I think he's a communications chair or something like that. I might have that wrong. We've interviewed him here on the show. If you want to, you can search back through our early episodes. We talked to him about an eminent domain type issue back in the day, a couple years ago now. But Adam Hernandez, if he had simply run for District 2, would be on the city council right now. I'm almost certain of it. In other words, instead of running for mayor, I don't know who advised him to do that. People was telling him to run for mayor. I looked at that and I said he doesn't have a snowball's chance in West Texas of getting elected mayor. However, if he had simply run for District 2, he almost certainly would have been elected just on name recognition alone. And I think there's a lot of people out there who think he's doing good work. So, in other words, I think he reached too high when he should have been reaching for the fruit that was within reach. He was reaching for that upper, he was trying to move on up into Citizens Tower, as it were, instead of Jefferson's Tower. Instead of doing that, he should have just reached for the obvious choice and got elected District 2 councilman and then served a couple terms and then had some name recognition and the ability to say, hey, look what I've done on city council for 2 years or 4 years or whatever the case may be. And then run for mayor. If he had done that, I bet you that would have been a nice little stepping stone for Mr. Hernandez into the, first of all, the District 2 council seat, and second of all, into the mayor's esteemed seat. But he didn't do that. And I also noticed that we had a couple of candidates. I remember a lady named Ana Minjares. I thought she sounded fairly conversant with the issues. I wasn't totally convinced by her, but I was more so convinced by her than some of the other candidates. And I was thinking, like, is there such thing as a DEI candidate? Do you vote for a candidate simply because of their skin color? Did that happen with Mr. Harris? I don't know. Because there were other viable candidates that if you'd chose right in the first place, whoever's trying to recall them, the NAACP and others, they wouldn't have to go through all this. In other words, make a good choice the first time. Don't just go with what they always say, he's skin folks, but he ain't kin folks. I've heard people say that before, whatever that's supposed to mean. I know plenty skin folks that ain't kin folks. And that's whatever color your skin is. If you white, I know you know some white people that ain't your skin folks. They skin folks, but they ain't your kin folks. I'm black, and I know plenty of black people that got the same skin I got, but I wouldn't touch with your hand. You know what I'm saying? Everybody ain't down with you just because they the same skin color, and that's a valuable thing to keep in mind. Perhaps when you in that voting booth, you voting for people apparently only because of their skin color, and you do so, you bound to be let down. Well, especially when there's other viable candidates. But again, there's that fear lurking in the background. If we don't vote for the brother man, we ain't gonna never get it back. That's what happens with demographics, man. And I talked about this once before. A couple years back, they had the Kwanzaa celebration, and I was helping out with that, filming, and I think I was in that thing too. I did a poem. I think it was a pretty dope poem. Had a lot of dope speakers, but I was helping. I don't think I helped arrange it. I just was in the Kwanzaa celebration of 2020. What was it? 2024, I think it was. And at that time, while we were over there setting up for Kwanzaa and talking, I heard some people saying things like, man, the demographics have shifted. And if we lose this seat, it's going to be difficult for us to get us back. And I was thinking to myself, but dude, you guys, the people that are saying those things were voting Democrat, almost certainly. And here's the thing. This is not a political thing. It's well known Democrats' policy is to let in unlimited amounts of foreign people. People call them illegal immigrants. That's not a word. It's illegal aliens is the proper terminology. That's not to say they're alien species. That's to say they're alien to this country. And they have not gone through the official legal process to become immigrants or citizens. I think words have meaning, so I try to use them properly. Try to. I am from West Texas, though, so I'll be misusing my share of words, I'm sure. But the point I'm getting at is this. You can't bemoan the fact that you're about to lose a seat in your district that was fought with such ardor and so vehemently and so passionately fought for and won when they did the single member council districts back in, 84, I think it was. TJ Patterson, of course, was the first fruits of that labor. In his person, the first fruits of that labor manifested. He was the first black city councilman from Lubbock, from District 2, the Deuce, East Side, LBK, right? Well, here it is. This is not even 50 years later. I don't want to do no public math, but 84 to 2004, that sounds like 41 years. That's what it sounded like. And 41 years later, that's done turned around and bit us in our nether regions because the demographics have shifted. And funny enough, the party that is lamenting that demographic shift is the same party that is responsible for letting in the people that compose that demographic shift. So that's hilarious. That's hilarious. Taste of your own medicine, some people would say. I just sit back and look at it. I tell y'all straight up, I'm a libertarian. I look at both parties with disdain and pity and disgust, mostly. You know what I'm saying? I believe in freedom, not parties. I don't believe in political parties. I believe in being left alone to dispose of my affairs the way I want to do it. That's called freedom. That's my political party. Now, the Libertarian Party, I will say, is a bunch of nuts and kooks. But the libertarian philosophy is the only real viable political philosophy out there, I would say. And it basically boils down to live and let live, treat others how you want to be treated, the golden rule. That's what libertarianism is. It revolves around what's called the non-aggression principle. The non-aggression principle, or the NAP. I always say I'm nappy and happy because I like the NAP and I'm black. But I'm really curly. I got curls for the girls. I ain't nappy. I'm curly. Anyway, the NAP, the non-aggression principle, is a central plank in the libertarian belief system, states that it is immoral to use violence or force or coercion to obtain political power or money or taxes or anything else. And it also specifically applies that principle to the government, not only to people, but to the government. The Libertarian Party, the non-aggression principle, basically means that if I, as an individual, cannot use force against you because that's illegal and you can defend yourself against me if I do, then guess what? 2 individuals can't get together and say, let's use force against you. 50 individuals can't get together and vote and say we're a political party and vote to use force to take your money or to take your property or to take your land or to take your intellectual fruits, the fruits of labor, your body. The libertarian principle of non-aggression, the second principle is that your body is the first. It believes that private property is sacrosanct, it's sacred, and that your body is the first form of private property. See that? That's already against slavery. That's against taxation. That's a bulwark against all kinds of things that we put up with in society that flow from the belief that if you get together with enough people and vote, it becomes so. It's still immoral. It don't matter if 2 wolves get together and vote and say, oh, we decided we're going to eat that sheep. The sheep can be like, nah, man, I didn't vote. This is a democratic republic. It's not a democracy. It's a republic. It means I have rights. The minority has rights, and it don't mean minority as in black or Hispanic. It means minority of people compared to the majority of votes. Minority people, the minority vote retains rights, unalienable rights that can't be infringed against. Rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Libertarians would say the right to private property and the pursuit of happiness. Freedom, that's freedom. The pursuit of happiness is freedom. Doing what you like that in a way that doesn't infringe on anybody else, that's freedom. And I getting kind of deep into this libertarian thing because I just want to make it clear where I stand. I think both parties are full of their own ideology. You know what I'm saying? Because both parties do ridiculous stuff. Both parties to me are just repugnant. When I do vote, I try to vote in a way that seems like it'll offer me the most freedom. But when you vote in a way that, like the Democrats seem to have been doing over the last 4 years and really beyond that, they voted in a way that they enact policies that they hoped or thought was going to guarantee them a majority. That's why they let in so many illegal aliens. Everybody knows this. You're not supposed to say this, but everybody knows they was letting them in to vote in places like California. I heard somebody, I think Adam Hernandez one time said on Facebook, said no illegal aliens vote nowhere in the country. That's false. They absolutely do. They get driver's licenses in California, and and they get registered to vote when you get a driver's license. So we just saw that dude from California that was Indian who snuck in through the southern border. So he was an illegal alien who snuck in from India through Mexico, got his driver's license, got a CDL driver's license in California, couldn't even read English, couldn't even speak English, then busted that illegal U-turn in Florida and killed. Who busted an illegal U-turn in a 18-wheeler? That little emergency thing on the street where you turn, where the cops go, it says no U-turn allowed. There was literally a sign right there that said no U-turn allowed. He busted a Huey right there and killed a minivan full of people. Got his driver's license, not only his driver's license, his commercial driver's license. I almost said his concealed carry driver's license. CDL, no, commercial's driver's license. Got his commercial driver's license in California. Couldn't read or speak a lick of English. Killed 3 people because of that. California needs to get sued because of that. Letting people in. If you're giving them a driver's license, you're surely letting them vote. But that was the whole plan. That's why the Democrat Party was in favor of allowing so many really unlimited illegal immigration. Illegal, some people call it an invasion. It's hard for me to see how it's not an invasion. Again, I'm standing outside both parties. I'm just looking at the real meaning of words. When people who ain't supposed to be somewhere come in the millions into a place where they're not supposed to be or expected to be, what is that? Is that not an invasion? Is that not the definition of invasion? You know what I'm saying? Do words have meanings? I guess they do. I still think they do. A lot of people act like they don't. So many of the policies that we enact are based on things other than the welfare of our own U.S. citizens. People like me and you who have lived here our whole lives and busted our humps. In my case, for almost over a quarter century, well over a quarter century, trying to make a life in this country and make this country be great and stay great. Really, you ain't trying to make the country great. You're trying to make yourself great. But when you make yourself be all you can be, you improve your country. Anybody mad at that? Anybody don't think that's real? I mean, duh. Why is that? So that's controversial to say, make America great again. I definitely want America to be great again. And then people say America was never great. Oh, then why does 50 million people sneak over here and sneak in the country then? It's greater than a country. Must be. Because I wouldn't have left India and came all the way over here if India was great. I wouldn't have left the Middle East. I wouldn't have left China. I wouldn't have left Panama, Guatemala, heck, Mexico. I wouldn't have left none of those countries if they was great. And I lived there and they was great because I was helping make them great. So clearly they wasn't too great, was they? Don't nobody leave the United States hardly and go to Guatemala to live. We don't have a massive influx of outflow of 50 million American citizens going to Guatemala, do we? No. We got a little trickle that goes to Mexico sometimes. Expats renounce their citizenship. That's probably a few tens of thousands, not 50 million. I was looking at the numbers of illegal aliens that were coming over, and they were estimating that this was years ago, there was 180,000 a month. And they showed the numbers. It was pretty clearly at least 180,000 a month. And you know what I was thinking? When I was a young man growing up right here in the LBK, the population of Lubbock in the 90s, when I was in high school or somewhere around in that time frame, the population of LBK was 180,000 people. So in other words, every month, enough illegal aliens come over here to make a decent middle-sized city like Lubbock was in the 90s. We're now 300,000 or so. So we're much bigger than that, almost double what we used to be, but 180,000 a month. And they have states that are sanctuary states where you can get all kinds of assistance and all kinds of documentation and licenses, commercial driver's licenses. How you going to say we know California gives driver's licenses to illegal aliens, but they're not voting? Come on. That's the whole point of the program, people. It's the whole point of letting people in the country without vetting them is to grow. First of all, is to grow congressional districts. You do know that, right? Congressmen, your representatives, the people that go to the House of Representatives, Texas House of Representatives, that's a portion based on population. So the more people you have, and it doesn't mean where they from. It doesn't count if they're illegal aliens or not. The more people you have, the more representatives you get. So in a very real sense, you get political power by letting unlimited immigration into your state or your city. See what I'm saying? Clearly that's the plan, right? We adult enough to admit that. It's just unintended consequences from political parties, which is why I don't mess with them, because there's always going to be unintended consequences. That's another belief. It's really a social science dictum. For every law, there's always unintended consequences. You letting all these people in that you think are going to vote Democrat, but in actuality, a lot of them end up being conservative. A lot of Hispanics are politically conservative. That's why they don't like a lot of Cubans coming over here. They don't let too many Cubans come over here because Cubans have direct experience with socialism, with Cuban socialism under El Jefe Fidel Castro. They know him intimately. They know the failures of socialism. They come over here vehemently anti-socialist. Y'all know I was a Spanish linguist back in the day. I've had several different language professors and instructors who were Cuban. Very intelligent, upwardly mobile people that made their way over here in one way or another. And they all hated socialism, hated Fidel Castro. Because when you try putting socialism into action it results in, one of my instructors was explaining to me, doesn't, you could be a garbage man or a doctor, you're going to get paid the same amount because it's socialism. Everybody gets what they need. But as a doctor, we all know you got to go to college, then you got to go to medical school for umpteen years, and then you got to go to this for umpteen years, and your residency and all this. Like, you put all that into it, and you still make as much as a garbage man. Why would you go through all that just to make the same salary as the local dog catcher or somebody? You see what I'm saying? That's why socialism kills upward mobility. That's why it kills countries eventually. That's one of the reasons. Also, because people don't want to give up their stuff. They don't want the government to be in charge of the distribution of resources. In order to get that, you got to kill people. That's another thing they don't talk about. You want to take everybody's stuff and reallocate it the way you want to. Eventually, you're going to have to kill some people. And then once you start doing that, you're going to have to kill a few mil. Ask China about that. Ask Russia about that. Ask Pol Pot, Khmer Rouge, all them countries, Cambodia, you know what I'm saying? All these African countries, by the way, that are dirt poor. 50 years after the British left and the other colonialists left, the African countries are dirt poor. Why? Not because they African, because they can't do better. It's because they have socialist mentalities. They enact socialist governments where they take from the producers and give to their own little clique. And if you start taking from the people that know how to do stuff and make stuff, eventually you're going to run it. You have to kill them, because some people are going to be like, no, you can't take my land. No, you can't take my house. You can take these slugs. You can take some of these AR-15 rounds. You can take some of these 5.56 rounds, 2.23. That's what you can take. That's what happens when you try to institute socialism. This is failed policies. I'm bringing that on back around to Lubbock, Texas, talking about voting for the wrong reasons. Voting for people because they black, apparently, instead of because they qualified or because they know the issues. I'll give it to Adam Hernandez, him and his group, Lubbock Compact. I don't know how much we have in common politically, but they definitely seem to be well versed on the issues. I no problem admitting that. You can listen to them speak at City Hall. They do get a little smarmy sometimes. I think that if they just delivered their message in a straightforward way, they would be much more effective. But the content of their messages seems to be sound, at least seems to be convincing. Again, if they cut some of the smarm out of it, I think they would go further. But man, East Lubbock is facing a dilemma. We're on the horns of a dilemma. I was just thinking, man, if I was Gordon Harris, and I'm not, and he didn't ask me for my 2 cents, but if I was Councilman Gordon Harris, there might be a way to salvage this. The first thing I would do is throw me a big town hall, and I would get with the Lubbock NAACP, Lubbock chapter, and some of the other community organizations, and I would ask them, what do they want? They're your constituents. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be up there representing them. So I would literally call a meeting, a big tent meeting with all these people, and meet with them. If they don't want to do a big tent, I set up a week and we'll go talk to the NAACP one week, a church group the next week, this group the next week, talk to them. Neighborhood associations groups the next week. That's what he should be doing. Now, I say that he might be doing that already. I don't know. But the fact that there's a recall attempt against him makes me think he may not be doing that. And if he was, trying his best to enact what they say, sometimes you get outvoted, but that's not the way they see it. These people that are trying to initiate the recall. Another thing that I've observed about the LBK, specifically East Lubbock and the politics there, there are tons of qualified people. Again, I said Adam Hernandez already. Young lady, Natalie Miller, who is, full disclosure, my sister-in-law, married to my brother Cam Miller. She's got a master's, a PhD or something. She cold-blooded. But you got to be a certain type of person to run for that city council. You're not going to get paid for it. It's not an easy job. I've seen some of the stuff of how it works. They give you big packets. You got to read this stuff and know it. You got to do your research. You got to work on it. It ain't no... They don't be giving you no little stuff like this. They be giving you big old booklets, like homework. It's like college homework times 5. Look like to me. You know what I'm saying? Look like graduate level homework you got to do to understand these issues. Well, I think Natalie Miller, again, my sister-in-law, full disclosure, but I bet she can figure it out. But you got to be like retired or independently wealthy to really be effective on the city council, because they don't pay. I think they pay $25 a month or something like that. So you got to have some money coming in and some free time to even be on the city council. I used to, when I wore a younger man's pants, I used to think I wanted to get involved in this old politics and stuff. But now I'm like, nah, I don't want no parts of that, because you got to be evil. You got to compromise and do things you don't believe in. And I just don't like doing that. I try not to do that at all. So I just, nah. And plus, ain't nobody, they better not let me get up there by the power. This the button for power, because I turn the whole thing off. You know what I'm saying? Because I want to be left alone. I ain't going to be up there doing a lot of crazy stuff. I'm going to be up there cutting power off so they can't do crazy stuff. So you can live your life and make of it what you want it to be. And that's why I wouldn't get reelected either, because they'd be like, he didn't even do nothing. Like, well, I did do something. I stopped all the bullcorn that was coming through. Yeah, but we wanted that bullcorn. People want that money. That bullcorn is money. You saw that with USAID, which is, I must say, again, it's long rumored. I've known for decades now that it's allegedly it's a front organization for intel agencies in different places like that. CIA, you name it. You funnel money through that, give it back to your politicians and to your favorite causes. But you can say, well, it's non-governmental. Well, it's non-governmental, but all the money coming from government in some way, form, or fashion. That's why you see that meme. Y'all ever see that meme where it's like, it's Israel and they got the war going on. And they got missiles launching from this side in Israel and missiles launching from the Hamas toward Israel. And above it on the meme, the label says, these missiles are my tax dollars. And yet these missiles are also somehow my tax dollars. What in the world? If I got a chance to get up there, I'm stopping that. If they better not let me nowhere near that, we ain't giving nobody no money. I don't care if you're Israel. I don't care if you're Guatemala, Jerusalem, Mecca, I don't know who, Zimbabwe, Haiti. Nobody get none of our money. We Americans, we the ones working. Why don't we get our money? Why do they take so much of our money and then use it on stuff that nobody even knows about and nobody ever voted for? Yeah, I used to think about that politics when I was in Black History in the 90s in Miss Carter's Black History class over there at Lubbock High. I was thinking about, I might want to be president someday or something, And actually, I'm glad I got dissuaded from that. I don't want to get no parts of that. I don't want no parts of that. Unfortunately, the people who do want to be around power are usually the worst people to have around power. The people that you want to be around the people that you want to be in charge and have power are people who don't want that power to be in charge. They don't want that. But that's the problem. They're the ones you would want there because they don't want to misuse the power. They don't even want it. But because they don't want it, they don't run. They don't run for stuff. They don't run for office and stuff like that. And we see what happens with that with Ron Paul. They used to call him Dr. No. Everything that came across his desk, every vote they had, he would vote no, simply because it was not authorized in the Constitution. Well, you're supposed to follow the Constitution. See, most politicians follow the money, basically. They follow where them donations coming from. You know what I'm saying? Because them donations keep you in power, and being in power keeps those donations. So in other words, it's all part of the game. That's how you come in like AOC. She's supposed to have been a bartender back in the day. Now she worth umpteen million. Ilhan Omar. I'm sure Republicans do it too. It seems like the Democrats have done it so egregiously that they're all in the news about it. But I'm sure Republicans do it too. That's just a distasteful game to me. I don't want no part of it. And I don't envy nobody that is in politics. I remember Sheila Patterson Harris, the former District 2 council member. Got a lot of respect for her and her family and their contributions. But I remember her. I think she really fought hard to get, for example, Leprino on the east side. And what did you have? You had people saying, stop Leprino. And I'm like, for what? It's jobs. People had defeatist mind state that they was like, well, they ain't gonna give us the jobs. No way. I literally heard people say they not gonna give us the jobs, meaning black people. They're gonna put it on our side of town. They're gonna pollute the water, but they ain't gonna give us the jobs. Oh yeah. Well, I bet you if you apply for one of the jobs that you qualified for, you'll have an equal shot of getting it, just like anybody else. If you qualified and if you're a good candidate, I guarantee you some black people working. They gotta be. I hope it is. If it ain't, it's because they didn't apply. That's that DEI mentality, I guess you call it. Always want to put forward a candidate that look like you, but not necessarily a candidate that's going to do a good job. But then at the same time, other stuff you should be jumping into because you actually have a chance to do, be having a defeatist mind state. Oh, they ain't going to give it to us. What you mean they ain't going to give it to you? Do you? The requirements is right there on the website. You got to be a high school graduate to have this amount of experience and blah, blah, blah. Do you qualify? Yes or no? I've had people tell me about stuff like that they knew they wasn't going to hire us for, but I was already in the position. Or somebody I knew was already in the position that was black. They ain't going to hire us. Like, man, there's plenty of us already up in there. What you talking about? They ain't going to hire you because you ain't going to apply. I don't even know where I'm going with this no more, man. I'm just thinking about the racial side of things and how it just skews and destroys everything it touches. I'm gonna tell you something else that gets destroyed by race right now. Y'all saw that North Carolina, that young lady that got just brutally murdered on the train in North Carolina. Well, first of all, she was Ukrainian, and second of all, the guy that did it was black, mentally ill, been to jail umpteen times, had about 15 mug shots, all for different violent stuff, and yet was out on bail from something else violent. And then just literally for no reason, you watch the video, he's sitting behind this little white chick. She's from Ukraine. First of all, she's not even aware of her surroundings. Let me just stop before I go any further and say, ladies and gentlemen, we don't live in Mayberry. There is no Mayberry left anymore. If you are in public, your phone needs to be in your pocket. You need to have your head on a swivel and be looking out. You know why? Because you got ECCs all around you. If you listen to the last show, you know what an ECC is. Evil, crazy, and criminal. You got evil people, crazy people, and criminals all around you that love to see you with your face in your phone. This little Ukrainian refugee, I don't know if I guess she had real refugee status, so I guess she wasn't no illegal alien. But she's sitting there. She's like a $101 sitting there with her phone like this. The dude sees her get on the train. He in the seat like this. All frowned up. He looks at her, and then he literally, just like some kind of predator looking at her, and he pulls out his pocket knife. He's like, he literally does this, like, and he stands up and he just, right in the throat. They cut it so you can't see. I say throat, not the throat, the throat. That's how you know it's bad. Hit it in the throat. Cut, chop, I don't know. It didn't get elaborate, but from the descriptions I saw, it was a terrible, grievous wounds. Of course, she died. He stabbed her so hard, his hand slipped. He cut his own hand open. That often happens when you stab somebody, from what I understand. He walking around the train afterwards, dripping his own blood out his own wound. He gets off the train. He's got his sweater wrapped around his hand. This dude she didn't even look at this dude. And he just slaughtered her. That was a literal slaughter. He didn't even look at her. I mean, she didn't even look at him. There was no racial animus. It was no this. It was no that. It was animalistic behavior. That's all you can call it. And she's sitting there oblivious. Don't even know. Dude, don't sit. Oh, I'm sorry. This is why I don't mess around with no public transportation to begin with. Every time I be on public transportation, it always be somebody sketchy. I always got my eyes peeled, my head on a swivel, and my hand situated strategically, if you know what I'm talking about. Because people out here are ECCs. There's too many ECCs around for you to be going through life oblivious to your surroundings. My father taught me that. I'm a military man, retired, but my father taught me that before I ever went in the military, man. When you walking somewhere, look behind you. Keep your head up and look. I've seen so many people today that'll cross the street without even looking up off their phone. You saw some fools. You know what I'm saying? You need to have your eyes on the swivel, because most people driving got their eyes on their phone too, and you walking with your eyes on the phone crossing the street. Come on, man. You got to be aware of your surroundings. You got ECCs all around you. Beware of ECCs, evil, crazies, and criminals. Dude, you cannot make a law to stop ECCs. Evil people don't care about your law. Crazy people don't care about your law. And criminals, by definition, don't care about your law. And this little Ukrainian chick was just brutally slaughtered. While 3 other black people sat there and looked at it. They was in 3 seats right here. They was all like, then again, they probably wasn't armed. I mean, what do you do? Get your head chopped off too, I guess. Boy, y'all better watch out for these ECCs. I keep my head on the swivel. You know what I'm talking about? Tell you what, man. Yeah, we ran the gamut on today's show. We talked about a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I be wanting to end with something positive. So I'm gonna tell you something positive. I think I started out with this. We went over to Cavill's on last Friday for First Friday Art Trail. That was it's a nice little event. I got to give a shout out, give some props to my man, Fernando LSD Perez. I be wondering, do his middle name LSD look like it's LSD? Do that refer to LSD? I don't know. When I say it say Fernando LSD Perez. So you have to wonder. I'm going to ask him one of these days, like, what's your middle name mean? Do it mean LSD? Was somebody trying to be smooth? Anyway, him and Anthony over there, man, they be putting on a nice little soiree. They be hooking it up. Went over there, had some red wine. They got some charcuterie. Little chick I used to know back in high school. Smell like cheese and ham. I'm joking. It's charcuterie. They had charcuterie and wine. Okay. And they had a young lady whose name escapes me, but she's got the pink, the purple hair or the pink hair and all the rings and nose and face rings. And man, she was painting up a storm live on the scene, being influenced by the vibes, if you know what I mean. She was doing some great stuff. And then you had Randy Groden, Mr. Randy Groden, impressionist painter there. And again, just a quiet, unassuming spot down at Cavill's. Just easy to get to, easy to be at, and easy to stay for a while. Don't even want to leave. You get in there, it's comfy, the people cool, the art is good. That's you still got to have your head on a swivel no matter where you go looking for these ECCs. But when you in Cavill's, you pretty safe and pretty cool. I'm sure, I'm almost certain there ain't gonna be no ECCs up in there, unless you're talking about eclectic creatives and C's. I'm trying to be all cool on the fly. Eclectic, creative, and something C. ECCs. I'm trying to switch it around. I'm failing miserably. That mean it's time to go. That mean I've been on the mic too long. You start failing miserably at being verbally creative. So LBK, thank y'all for tuning in. Remember, we got Mr. Randy Groden, the artist himself that I've been mentioning. He's coming up later this month in September. We're about to start season 3, which means we're going to have a makeover. The show is going to look and sound a little bit different. It's going to have a real intro for once. It's going to have some different music. It's going to have some different sections, words from the elders, man on the street type of things. We're going to step it up for season 3. So that'll be not this episode, but the next episode. Well, thank y'all for tuning in. Again, this is your brother, Robert Jenkins, saying peace. 2 digits.